Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jerry and I like to crochet. So I'm the kind of person who becomes obsessed with buying yarn, and I just end up with so much leftover at the end of every single product I make. In fact, this entire bag is just filled with all these pieces of yarn that I just haven't got around to using. And it's mostly because every time I finish a project I come up with a new idea and I just end up going to the shops to buy more yarn instead of really coming up with some smaller ideas that I can use to make over with the leftover bits I have. So since the new year just started and I want to do a bit of decluttering, I thought I would make a video showing all of the small projects you can make with the leftover pieces of yarn that you have. I'm going to try my best to make these as beginner friendly as possible, but again, as always, it will help if you have prior crochet knowledge. So let's get into the video and see all of the ideas that I can come up with. The first thing that I think I'm going to make is this pair of crochet fingerless gloves, and I'm going to make these using these small little balls of yarn that I have left over from a bigger one that I bought before. And what I'm anticipating making is this like checkerboard design, because it's still the winter at the moment. I think it will be quite nice, especially as we're transitioning into spring, and I'm hoping they'll also keep my hands warm as the weather starts to get a little bit warmer. So I'm going to start by putting my string onto my hook, and then all I'm going to do is chain 9. So you do this by wrapping the string around the hook and pulling through the bottom. So I'm just going to create 9 of these. So this is what my chain of 9 look like, and then I'm just going to go along the row doing single crochets. So all you do is you insert the hook into the gap, you pull up a loop, and then you chain and pull through both loops on the hook. So after I reach the end of the row, I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to flip my work before doing single crochets into the back loop of every single stitch. And what this is going to do is this is going to create this really nice ribbing effect, because this is the part that will go around the wrist. So as you can see, I've done it for a few rows, and this is what the wristband looks like so far. And all we're going to do is continue doing this pattern until you get to the width of your wrist. So for me, this was about 28 rows. And then what we're going to do is we are going to create 28 single crochets into the sides of the band. And you can just do this by finding the little holes which are on the side of the piece. And then all we're going to do is create 6 double crochets before switching colour on the 7th double crochet. So once you reach your 6th double crochet, all you need to do is switch colour. So what we will do is we will go into the double crochet, and instead of pulling through the last 2 loops, we are going to take our next colour and we are going to insert it onto the end. And then start doing double crochets in the alternative colour. And while you're doing this, make sure to keep the first colour tucked in so that you don't have the string flying out at the back. And what you're going to do is you are going to do 7 double crochets of each colour 4 times, and that will equal the 28 single stitches that we put around the wristband. So when you reach the end of the row, all you need to do is chain 2, flip your work, and then continue doing the same pattern. So we are going to do this first one for 3 rows. And then when we have finished the 3rd row, what we are going to do is we are going to switch to our first colour, chain 2, flip our work, and then continue doing 7 double crochets. And this is what is going to create the checkerboard effect. And we are going to do this for 4 rows this time. So not 3 rows, 4 rows. So the way we're going to create this checkerboard pattern is that we're going to do the same thing for 3 rows, and then switch colours, do those for 4 rows, switch colours again, and do it for 4 more rows. So in total we should have 11 rows. And as you can see, this is what the completed 11 rows looks like. So all I'm going to do is take my scissors, cut off the yarn, and then now I'm going to darn off so that it's all secured and tightened. So now I'm going to fold my glove in half and I'm going to slip stitch along the edges, leaving a gap where my thumb can go through. This is completely optional, but I thought it would be nicer to add a brim with my dark purple yarn on the bottoms and also on the top. So I'm going to do some single crochets all around these. And then I'm also going to darn in my ends because there's quite a lot with this project. So this is how the gloves turned out. I think they're very, very sweet. I really like the color combination together, and I do like that I added the brimming around the end because I think it just gave it a much more finished look. This project was super simple to make. It only took me a couple hours or less, and I just think that it was a very good use of the leftover yarn I had, and it really didn't take a lot to make these. Okay, so I ended up passing out. It is the next day currently. And I have these leftover yarns from a previous project I made. I have this pink one here and this red one. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet a headband. I just think it would be super sweet to have something that goes like around my head like this. I'm just going to use my 5.5mm hook for this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the pink as the base color. And then I'm going to use the red for the outer lining. It is currently about 12 o'clock and I have a nail appointment in an hour. So we'll see if I can finish it before then, because I seriously need to get my nails done. Like, look at this. Look at this. So let's see if I can get this done in half an hour, and I'll show you how I do it along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by inserting my yarn onto my hook, and then I'm just going to chain for as long as I want the headband to be. So I think I'm going to do around 70 chains. So I ended up losing count, but this is how long I decided to keep my chain, and I just measured it by putting it around my head. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put single crochets into every single stitch along the line, and I think I'm going to do this for 4 rows. So in order to do a single crochet, all you need to do is stick your hook in between the gap in the chain, pull the string inwards and down until you have 2 loops on your hook, wrap your string around the hook and then pull through both loops like so. So again, sticking it in between the chain, pulling the yarn downwards, wrapping round and pulling through. So I finished doing the first row, and in order to move on to the second row, all we need to do is chain 1 and then flip it and then go straight back into the first crochet. So I'm just going to continue doing this. And I'm going to continue doing this process until I get the thickness of the headband that I want. So I'm thinking at the moment maybe 4 rows. So as you can see, I've completed my 4 rows, and it was literally perfect because I only have this much yarn left of my balls. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red yarn and I'm going to go all around the edges, and when I get to this part, the second part in the middle, I'm going to make a chain of 20, then go back along the 20 and then continue going around the other side. So I've completed one side of the red colour and I've started to move on to the little bands, and I did realise as I was doing it that 20 chains is not enough, so I actually decided to do 35 instead. So I would recommend making this part quite a bit longer. So I managed to finish it before getting my nails done, and this is the completed headband. I'm going to attempt to tie it on now, but I'm really bad at these kind of things, so let me have a go. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Okay, got it. Obviously it doesn't really match the outfit I have on, but I think it turned out really, really sweet. Oh, but it matches my nails though. Like, these are my nails, by the way, guys. I got them done. And yeah, this project was super quick to make. It only took me half an hour or less, and I only had to use one type of stitch. And I think it would be nice to wear if your outfit is like a little bit boring and you just want to spice things up a little. So for my next project, I think I'm going to make myself a pair of earrings. I have these earring pieces here that I ordered online, and as you can see, I have a lot of them still. So I think I'm going to put these to good use and make some flower earrings. These are really simple to make, and it's great because you only need a tiny amount of yarn. So for me, I'm going to be using white for the center, and then I have this really nice like green yarn that I'm going to be using for the petals. I'm also going to be using a smaller hook for this, so I have this double-sided crochet hook, and I'm going to be using the 3.5mm side, and this will ensure that the flower is nice and small and compact, so it goes really well into an earring. And in order to make this flower, you're going to have to know how to make a magic ring, how to do slip stitches, and how to do double crochets. Okay, so I'm just going to start by making my magic ring, and as you can see, I'm not used to having such long nails, so I'm kind of struggling like a little bit with this. So I'm just creating the magic ring, and then I'm going to chain 1 to secure it. and then I'm going to make 8 single crochets into the magic ring. So now that I've done my 8, I'm just going to pull the yarn tight so it creates a nice little circle, and I'm going to slip stitch and then chain 1. And as you can see, I'm just tying off before going in with my next colour yarn, which is the green one that I was telling you about earlier. So you can just insert your yarn into any part of the circle, it really doesn't matter. And I just like to tie mine on by creating a nice little knot. And now I'm going to do a chain of 3, and when you chain 3, that acts like a double crochet, and then I'm going to do 2 double crochets into the same space. That was 1, 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch before chaining 3 again. Doing 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and then slip stitching into the next stitch before chaining 3 again. And all you need to do is keep repeating this pattern until you have 5 petals, and that is what is going to create the flower shape. And as you can see, like, my hole in the center was getting a little bit bigger, but if yours does this, don't worry about it, you can just pull the yarn tightly again. And once you've completed your 5 petal shapes, all you need to do is slip stitch into the first stitch, and then you can cut your yarn and chain off. So as you can see, I've inserted my earring hook. You can use pliers for this, but I actually just use my nails, and I put it into the gap in the middle. All I would just say is just make sure that there's not a big gap in the fish hook, or else the earring hook will come off, so just be careful when doing that. And these are what the earrings look like on. I actually really like these. They only took me like 15 minutes to make. They were super simple, and I can already imagine what kind of outfits I'm gonna pair with them.